Hey friends, and welcome back to this Tone Tuesday, and today we're going to ask the question, could Chibson be Gibson? Coming right up. Recently my buddy Kevin B sent me an email pointing me towards and directing me to a video that was made 3 years ago, or actually nearly 4 years ago now, back in 2016 by Digimart.net, and I think they were from Japan. And it was a tour of the Epiphone factory in China. Now Kevin pointed me to a particular part of this video at 6 minutes 53 where he thought he spotted what looked like a Chibson style or a Gibson style headstock. And we'll have a quick look at that now and you'll see what he meant. At first glance, that looks very suspect that there is a Gibson style headstock in the Epiphone factory, until you realise that the Epiphone 339 model has had that headstock for quite a number of years. And if you look really closely at the video, you can see that actually it looks like a 339 body. So that's that mystery solved. However, I looked a bit further on in the video, and at 14 minutes 45, I saw something that I found quite disturbing, and that was this. Now, why, you may ask, is an Epiphone guitar going into a box marked Gibson, Nashville, USA? I'm pretty sure that all of the Epiphone guitars get shipped out via distribution direct to the dealers or to a distribution hub. As far as I'm aware, they don't all go to Nashville to Gibson. And in fact, I can't see how that would be economically viable anyway, because the cost of shipping that far would probably double the cost of the instruments. Seeing that box got me to thinking, and I'm wondering why they would need to put the Gibson brand on an Epiphone shipping box. And I also revisited my thought of why is it that Gibson do not go after the Chinese fake brands. And I think we can answer that in a couple of ways. But one of the things that people have always told me about the Chibson trade and Gibson not going after them is that Gibson do so incredibly well from the aftermarket sales. The fact that there are so many issues with these Chinese guitars, and particularly with the hardware. So Gibson sell an awful lot of tuners, an awful lot of nuts, an awful lot of pickups, switchgear electronics, pots, and even output jacks, ABR1 bridges, and certainly the conversion from metric to the imperial post system. So I can see that that would be one reason why Gibson might benefit from there being a few of these Chibsons out there. Gibson could benefit from the aftermarket parts. I wonder if it could go a little deeper. Now, I'm not saying or asserting that this is the case, but I want to hypothesize an idea. And that is, what would stop Gibson from saving some costs of production by producing some of the Gibson line of guitars in China? Certainly there would be a labour saving to be had, because we all know that the cost of the Chinese labour is a fraction of that of what it is in the States. So that would make an awful lot of sense. And in fact, it would save them an awful lot more money than they're making potentially on aftermarket parts, because one of the highest costs of building a guitar, particularly in the USA, is the labour cost. So there would be an economic reason why Gibson might benefit from setting up shop in China, but again, it's a bit dodgy. But why would they do it so secretively and in an underhand way when it would be perfectly legitimate to have a Gibson China range, for example? A little bit like the PRS SE, there would be nothing to say that they couldn't put Gibson by Epiphone made in China on the headstock, And in fact, they've already taken a step, as I saw at NAMM 2020, to put a more open book style headstock on the Epiphones, which I think looks great. So it'd be much better, and I think a company like Gibson would easily be found out if this was the case. However, if they were to build in China, then it might explain the surreptitious trade via Chibsons as well, because Gibson could take all of the decent made stuff that passes quality control, ship it over to Nashville and sell it as made in the USA, because these things all have made in the USA generally on the headstock. This one doesn't, because I specifically asked for it not to have. But then that way, anything that didn't pass muster or the quality control process could be sold in China via AliExpress and all those sellers that we all know about. And they could be disposed of in a very economic way. And it would make an awful lot of economic sense. But as I say, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just putting it out there as a potential possibility, a hypothesis. I'll leave it to you guys to let me know in the comments section down below why you think they would or wouldn't, or could or couldn't get away with this kind of thing. But the question still remains, is why did Gibson go after other brands, American, Japanese and the like, and not go after the Chinese? Well, I think there is some good reason for that. First of all, those brands tend to be slightly bigger and they have got money to be sued and reputations to protect. Take, for example, the case of PRS guitars with their single cut. Now, Gibson took them to court and Gibson lost. So now PRS is able to legally make the single cut guitar. So that may have burnt Gibson a little bit and stopped them from suing more. But also in China, the laws are very much different. And in fact, there is much less respect for trademark and intellectual property because of the fact that it's a communist state. And so the Chinese laws and the People's Republic of China, it's very difficult to pursue companies and to sue them because effectively you are suing the state. And let's face it, diplomatic relations are strained, to say the very least, between the USA and China already. But I always ask the question, why can't Gibson place somebody at the border and at Border Force, maybe in each of the customs and excise departments, to check out each of these yellow boxes as they come in from China and try to catch the fake Gibsons as they arrive at the port? Well, again, I understand that this is cost, but it would make an awful lot of sense if it was Gibson behind it, wouldn't it? Then why would they want to put people at the ports? Why would they want to employ people at Border Force to help them? So I think it's a combination of the two. Very, very difficult to sue in the Republic of China, People's Republic of China, due to their trademark laws. And also the fact that when they have tried to sue many of the other companies, they have lost. And they just don't seem to be able to win. And you know the old adage, folks, if you can't beat them, I'm not saying it is the case. I really look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comment section down below. Do you think that Gibson would really be behind the Chibson brand? Could Chibsons be being built at the Epiphone factory under Gibson's direction? I think it's unlikely, but then I've been surprised at an awful lot of other things. Anyway, let me know what you think. I really look forward to reading your comments. I'll be back with the very best content that I can. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a like, and it really can't hurt to subscribe. And I will see you very soon with the best content I can. In the meantime, as always, my friends, you take good care.